Note 11I and normal note 11. Which one do you want? Note 11 to 8128. That one is 135,500. 8128. That one.
Talk about like 3,000.
Note 10. Let me check.
You see, I don't back at 10.
Good morning, everyone. Can anyone hear me? Good morning, everyone. Can anyone hear me? If you can hear me, please just signify with a raise of hand. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful being together again. And I can assure you that this is going to be a valuable use of your time. And I know that what God has in stock for us is definitely going to meet us at the very point of our needs. And we're going to get all that we basically need to get this morning. So it's wonderful being here on this wonderful day. This is a very special day in which I believe we already have our questions where we can pour out our hearts and as well learn from the very best. I can assure you that the speakers that we have here today are wonderful people, people that know their onions and they have all it takes to deliver. These are people that are going to be talking to you from their depth and wealth of experience. These are people that are really qualified to dish out knowledge to us this morning. And I can assure you that all what you're going to learn here today is going to be useful. It's going to be something you can apply. And the whole aim is not just to listen to the seminar, listen to the speech, but also find a way to apply it to your life and ensure that you grow daily. Now, today's seminar is going to be on beating the odds, and we're going to be getting real life experiences, amazing stories of how some specific individuals moved from grace to grace. But would be commencing officially with a word of prayer. I want Mr. Sampson to give us a word of prayer. Mr. Sampson, are you here? Okay, I think Mr. Sampson is not available right now. Mr. Juwon, can you do us the honors of an opening prayer?
Thank you, Sister Esther. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we want to appreciate your loving kindness and grace upon each and every one of us. We thank you, Lord, for giving us the grace to be here,
Bluetooth mode,
to be gathered together this morning to learn so that we can receive challenge on how to move our lives better and forward. And Lord, we're praying that you take absolute control of everything that will be done here this day in Jesus' name.
Amen.
All the speakers, all the participants, Lord, we commit each and everyone into your hands. We pray your hands will be upon everyone in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Let each section, oh Lord, let it be a profitable session to every one of us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Those who are yet to be here, Lord, we pray you hasten there. You will remind them to be here. Thank you, Lord, because you know you have answered. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Juwon. Please, I would just encourage us that if you're not talking or asking any questions, please let's endeavor to mute our mic to avoid any form of interruption, because I can still hear some background noise. All right, thank you. I think the person is muted. And in the course of our section or the sessions that the different speakers are going to be speaking, I'm sure you definitely have some form of questions. So to make it orderly, you can send in your questions, or if you prefer asking your questions vocally. So I would actually prefer that anyway, because we are professionals, and in our everyday life, we should learn to be more vocal, express our opinions, our views, and be able to ask our questions. So if you also prefer to ask your questions during the question and answer time, I would give you the privilege to ask your questions. So before we commence officially, I just want to give us a brief background of how the Confab series started. So last year, and this is not just an issue of last year, for like over the course of the years, we've been having a program called the Confab. We've had different editions which have been massive, different editions which have been wonderful, and it has been blessing the lives of people tremendously. And I am a product of Confab. I know about one or two of us is definitely a product of Confab. And we thought it wise, the convener actually thought it wise to ensure that this year we have like a monthly series. And we started in the month of January. It has actually been blessing lives, impacting lives. The feedbacks have been wonderful. In the month of January, we started with writing the vision. Then in February, we moved on to running with the vision. It's not just writing the vision and making it plain upon the tables, but you also need to run with the vision. So in February, the Confab series for February was tagged running with the vision. And in March was actually a time to relax, a time to chill, and possibly taking all that we've learned and see possible ways to apply it to our situations. You know how at the beginning of every year, people make New Year resolutions. Then when it gets to February, March, they begin to slow down. So it's not necessarily us slowing down now, but it's actually a time for us to reflect and ensure that people are also achieving and applying all the lessons learned in their lives. It's also a time for people to also kickstart on the vision that they've written down and the vision that they might not have started running with, but also a period for everyone to re-strategize. Then in April, we had the Bold Steps, which was also a very massive program. And here we are today in May, and our theme is actually beating the odds. And as we know, in the flyer, we've already said that it promises to be very interesting and interactive, to listen to the story of amazing youngsters like you and I, who have scaled through different life challenges and are willing to share their story. It's usually said that experience is the best teacher, but I personally, that's not my viewpoint. I believe you should learn by observation, learn from other people's experiences so you do not make such mistakes. It's not until you pass through something you learn best. You can actually learn from other people's experiences, and that's what we're going to be doing here this morning. And we'll be having our first speaker. He's already on the call, Mr. Wilson Erumebo. But before we bring him on, I would just like to give us a brief background about our speaker. So, okay. Now our speaker, Mr. Wilson, is actually an amazing young man. He is a senior economist at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and one of Nigeria's foremost private sector-led think tank. And he's also a lead researcher on the NESG Osiwa Debt Management Roundtable project. which looks at depth sustainability in ECOWAS. And it has quite a depth of experience, a decade of experience and expertise in macroeconomic research, industry analysis, and social as well as economic inclusion. And this amazing speaker has actually been a member of several high-level committees, including the technical committee of the Nigerian Economic Summit. He has actually delivered quite a number of quality presentations, both to the board and management team of large companies and different economic summits, which some have had in attendance the Nigerian president, the cabinet ministers, state governors, and as well as private sector CEOs. So when I say that our speaker has quite a decade of experience, I know what I'm talking about. And he has actually served as a lead presenter, a guest speaker, as well as a panelist at several high-profile events, including the 25th Nigerian Economic Summit. He's a recipient of the award of the Distinctive Leadership and Reform Initiative in Economic and Policy Development in Nigeria. Well, he has a master's degree in economics from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and is presently a PhD researcher in economics at SOS, University of London. Please join me to welcome Mr. Wilson Erumobo. Thank you very much. Mr. Wilson, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess I'll have to turn on my video.
Exactly. We'd love to see your face.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. Somehow, I always feel uncomfortable when I hear someone read my profile. I feel like who is this person? Because I don't know if that's me. But anyway, I just give glory to God and thank God that we're all here today. And it's a pleasure for me to be speaking, at this session. For one particular reason, actually, or for many reasons, but one stands out because, many years ago, I remember how we came together to plan and put together the first Confab, back then in Unity District in Ikeja. And so it's amazing to see how far the Confab has gone, and the lives that have been impacted through this great event. So it's a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. How many minutes do I have to speak?
Actually, 20 minutes.
20, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because I would like to just, share my own personal experience. I think we've all, gone through points of when you attend conferences, there's always, do this, do that, do that.
Exactly.
I think for many people, it's almost much easier to relate to personal stories, and all that. So I try as much as possible to merge my personal stories with some of the points, I've put down. I think to begin, beating the odds, I think for me, it always starts with you as an individual, knowing who you are, knowing where you're coming from, and knowing where you're heading to. Because the truth is that we live in a very competitive world. We live in a world where there's competition. Sometimes you feel like you're competing with others, you wake up in the morning, whether it's your neighbors, you step out of the house, nice cars, nice this, nice that. You're wondering, sometimes even indirectly, in a way, it comes back to you. You're reflecting, how much progress have I made in my life? Where I am at this point, where am I at this point? Why am I not the one having this and that and cool? So sometimes it feels like we're in a competition with others, but the point here is beating the odds. It starts with you yourself. I always tell myself every day I wake up that I want to be a better version of myself today. I want to be better than who I was yesterday or what I did yesterday. And for me, so sometimes it takes away some of those pressure of, oh, what is Mr. X doing? What is Mr. Y doing? So it's me competing with myself to see how I can bring the best out of myself. And I will tell you that's, part of mainly what has gotten me to where I am today, even though I'm not there yet, like, because I believe success is a journey, right? So yes, there are different milestones, there are different stages, but at every point, it's always with you and yourself. It's not about your neighbor and all that. I mean, I don't like doing benchmarking process because I feel like it creates unnecessary pressure. It's the same thing I apply even in my research. Sometimes I hate comparing countries and so country A is better than B, blah, because the realities are different, the backgrounds are different. So sometimes move at your pace, but yes, you can have cases where you look up to others that have gone through a particular route that you've gone through before and learn from them. But sometimes it's a competition between you and yourself. So just going back to my own experiences, and journey. I grew up as a young guy in Ikeja, family of my parents and 7 of us as kids. I wouldn't say I was born with a silver spoon. Things was really tough back then growing up. But I think for me, of all the biggest lesson I've learned is the fact that personally I had a plan. I knew where I was going to be. I knew where I wanted to be even at a very young age. I knew that even though among my peers, sometimes I feel like, maybe I'm the youngest, or maybe I am the, would I say poorest, or the shy guy that, is always quiet. Somehow people would, attribute that to, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you're not privileged enough. But deep down inside me, I knew that I was going somewhere. And I knew that, at the end of the day, my life is going to be a testimony, and, I'm going to be more like a shining light to others. I mean, that's basically what has driven me so far. So there were so many pressures to want to belong, pressures to want to act like, you are there. But for me, I felt like, at every point of life's journey that, there's this sense of conviction, especially when you have a plan, which was part of why I was excited when I heard you focused on visioning, at I think at the January edition, because for me, that's very important. Like I had a plan to the extent that I knew when I was going to graduate from university, during my BSc. I knew when I was going to do my master's. I knew I wanted to do a PhD, and I knew when I was going to do it. Even though looking back and reflecting, I know that I've not followed through, especially in terms of the timelines. I graduated when I wanted to graduate, for my first degree, fine. But for my master's, there were lots of delays because things didn't go as planned. I had to work. I was working at some point. I had to do part-time, program. So instead of a 1-year master's, I did it for 2 years because that's how it was structured for people who were working. But in all, I still had a plan that, and what I did along the way was to adjust some of these plans to say, if I plan to get my master's early on, I've not done it. But the fact that it was in my plan and I knew I needed it, and I knew I needed it, so I actually made as much effort. And at the time, it wasn't easy because I was at a point in my career when there were so much pressures. I was managing a team of people, and imagine working in Ikoyi from, getting to the office at 8 a.m., closing at 5 p.m., and going for lectures at 6 to 9 p.m. You're getting home stuck in traffic. The next day, you're off, waking up early in the morning, back to work and all that. So it was really, I mean, there were times where I questioned myself that really like, can I really do this? But I kept moving on because I knew it was just a short period. It was for 2 years. And I knew I was going to scale through. So because when I looked at my life, I saw that this was part of the ultimate vision. It was part of the ultimate plan. So for me, it was, I had that motivation to want to complete it. Also different phases of, work-life relationship, creating work-life balance, or even performing at work. I think that for itself was a larger part of the plan as well, to say that I was very clear. I wanted to be an economist. And I said to myself, an economist that would stand out, wherever I am. I was not limiting myself to Nigeria. Wherever I am, whatever I say, I want to be known for something. I want to be known for bringing out new ideas, fresh perspective to issues and co. And so that's all of that, played a role in how I approached work. I've had several cases where, I'm in a team of people. Most of the time, I'm always the youngest, back many years, because even after my NYSC, working at all the different firms I've worked at, I'm always the youngest colleague. But for me, that was even more like a push to say that you can do better. You can do better than yourself at every point in time. So I was very open to feedbacks. There are times when I put in so much effort, in getting work done. And I think I noticed that a lot, particularly amongst, the younger people today. I'm not that old. So, so in short, I'm not old. Let me rephrase. So, but I noticed that amongst many of us today, and this is because I work a lot with young people. Sometimes I get projects that I get to assign to people. And mostly what I do is then supervise to deliver with the clients. And you get to see this attitude that, people don't want to stress too much. People feel like, let me just do what I can do and submit. After all, somebody else would review. Or, you're asking someone, can you help me do this? Like there's an emergency, a client just called you and said, okay, can we get this done tomorrow morning? We have a board presentation. We need you to help us work on this. And then you're reaching out to someone to say, okay, someone in the team to say, okay, can you do this? And you get a sense of, oh, I've closed for the day. I don't work at night. And yes, I understand we need to, have this work-life balance, but there are times when sometimes you need to challenge yourself and go the extra mile to see how you can deliver. Because I knew back then, at different places I've worked, I'm always reliable. Like if you speak to almost all of my bosses, I think that's one thing that keeps me out. Anytime you reach out to me for any task, I know I would be available to do it, and not just do it with a sense of, all sense of assume I'm the one, in charge of the project. So I do it with every sense of dignity, and try to make sure that, the task is completed. Even if in some cases I don't know how to do it, sometimes, you learn through the process, you go online, you check. So I would just want to encourage us that those little things you think you are not relevant, sometimes you ignore and you say, oh, he comes with stress, it's too much work, it's too much this. I think those things are very important, and they will count and tell, sometimes in the future. I remember when during ASU strike back then, during my first degree, I came to Lagos and I just wanted to work. I was just thinking, I need something to do. I can't be relying on my parents for money. So I need to make money. One of the first jobs I got was to be a data operator. In fact, that is not even on my CV anymore because I've had so much experiences in other jobs that I had to remove it and, just retain a few. The job requires that, when they did a survey the company did a survey and they needed people to impute the data. So you know how you have loads of survey responses, sheets, and then all you need to do is to start typing and typing. That was, it was tedious. At some point, I almost felt like, what am I even doing? Like, you finish one, you finish two, and then you're looking at like 4 different loads of questionnaires that you haven't even done. Some of them you'd have to impute data and code, numbers. Some of them you have to type really fast because you have very limited time. So I remember doing that for almost, was it 2 or 3 months? To me, then I didn't know I was preparing for something bigger in the future. And right now in the course of my work, I work with data, I work with Excel. So when I see huge volume of data sometimes that you can't really convert with whatever software, you just need to sit down and type it. There are times when my boss would be like, look, give it to Wilson, and for me, it was like I was playing because I had already done something even much bigger than that when I was growing up. So it's always quicker for me to finish those type of work, and move on. So now it might be little then when I was going through, it might be tedious, difficult going through it then. But for now, it's part of what, has added to the value that I create. And I even run several data related businesses for people because, I've had experiences in that area. But I think don't underestimate any task. Try as much as possible to do it to the best of your ability because you don't know tomorrow. It may not be your main, portfolio in terms of what you do as an individual, but somehow it might contribute to leading you to where you want to be. And I think also leading also to part of my experience as to the fact that, after that particular job, I went back to school, came back, during holiday. I also felt like, I needed to work because then that was a part-time job. So I needed something new. And in the company where there's a company close to my house, actually. So I just decided to apply. What was the role? The role was basically for someone to clean the office. And for me, imagine someone who is thinking of being a graduate of economics. I was to graduate, I think, the next year or the next 2 years. And for me to work as a cleaner back then, clean the office. Well, I felt like, in a way, I needed the money, number one. Number two, I just needed to do something rather than staying at home. So what I did, I accepted the job and I started, cleaning the office. I wake up in the morning, go to office, clean and all that. So how this fits into the larger story is this. Fortunately for me, the firm, they do something relating to economics. So they write, reports, they do research for banks. They also publish in newspaper then, business day newspaper. So it was an experience that, till today, I look back and I said, if I had 1,000,000 times or to do that again, would I do it? I said, yes, I'll do it. Because whilst cleaning, every day, I got to know the boss of the company who, Professor Martin Oluba, who has contributed immensely to my life. He was a professor at some international university, done so much work here and there. And he just approached me and said, young man, why are you cleaning? I said, because I need to make money now. He laughed and said, I then Googled him, checked his profile online and found out that he's a professor of economics and I'm studying economics at the university, which was quite interesting. So over time, he then said they have a project going on. They were looking for writers. And he said, when he found out, I told him, of course, I study economics in school and all that. So he said they were looking for writers to business day articles. And I said, why not? That I can try. I remember the article, it was on value added tax. Yeah. So I gave it a shot. I tried it. Then published in paper. You can imagine being someone in the university and undergraduate having your name as an author, of an article in one of the biggest business newspaper in Nigeria. In fact, when I went back to school and showed my HOD, they actually made photocopies and pasted it in all of the departments, in the social sciences. But it didn't stop there. From being a cleaner, I moved to becoming an office assistant. I had a desk, I was doing normal office work. It was, before I left the firm, to God be the glory, I was made a research analyst. Now, this moral of the story here is sometimes you think you overlook some of the little opportunities that stare at you in your face, thinking, oh, it's just a cleaner, it's just a barber, it's just something else. And I can tell you that going through that experience actually, contributed a lot to who I am today, because there's nothing like being an undergraduate and having worked, in a good company and having worked in your field, writing research reports and doing that. So when it was time for me to do NYC, I had so many options. I had options from 3 different big companies, but I turned them down. I worked at Unilever for, a couple of months or weeks. I studied the environment. I said, no, this is not for me. When I was resigning and somebody said, you are leaving Unilever, a multinational, I said, no, I want to do research. I don't want to do marketing or some other type of job. So because I was very clear of what I wanted to do. And then I wrote to one of the largest credit rating firms in Nigeria that I would like to do an NYC with you. And when they looked at my CV, so it was easier for them to allow me in. So I would just encourage everyone that, sometimes take advantage of whatever opportunity that you have sometimes, and always know that if you have a long-term goal, whatever phase you are going through at that time, just know that it's a phase. It's something that would eventually lead you to something bigger. And that's why it's always, very good to have a goal, because I knew whilst I was cleaning, I knew in my life, in the next 10 years, I was never going to be a cleaner. I knew I was never going to do anything short of what I had planned to do. So that in itself was able to guide me through. So whatever challenges, troubles I was going through then, I knew it was just for a short time. I knew my goals, were very clear. From there, I moved on, to even much bigger opportunities. And also, I know I had been, very diligent with work. I don't play with work. People call me a workaholic, but more recently, I've tried as much as possible to create that balance and, try to have that work-life balance. But at the time, I wanted to deliver. I wanted to give the best, in whatever I do. And all of these things played a role to where I am today and also to where I will be in the future. I don't know if I've used up more than or up to the time allocated. There's a lot of story to tell, as to how I started, speaking at so many events, making presentations and all of that. And I think, I don't know if there's still time for me to do all
I
of that.
just dropped a message for you.
Sorry, I can't see the... Okay, yeah, so I have just 5 minutes. So I think it's very important to have the vision, to summarize. The other thing is also value addition. What value are you adding to the community? What value are you adding to your work itself? What value are you adding to the firm? I think that's something very important. Many at times we've seen people, I'm currently in London. When you look around, you're almost pressured to think that, people that are from where we come from, many Nigerians here, doing different types of jobs, different, just to make a living, because, cost of living is really high. But I told myself something before coming here, that I would only moved to a developed country. I mean, I'm here for a program actually, so I don't think I consider myself as those that have jackpot, but I still have a lot to do back home in Nigeria. So that's why I keep in touch, and I still, do lots of engagement. So I think part of the thing I told myself coming here is I will always come here as a professional. I mean, not just here, anywhere I go, I would always be seen as someone that would do, professional work because of the value I think I can add. And the value for me is not restricted to any confined geography. I'm not saying because I'm in Nigeria, that's where my value ends. So I think having that in mind too, that you can add value wherever you are, wherever you go. So there's always so much pressure for you to do any kind of job, when you move into a developed country like this. But I mean, I haven't done any of those jobs, not to say I'm, being proud, but for me, I see it as a sense of being clear of what I want to do and knowing where the opportunities are and looking for them. I mean, I've done several consulting projects, even here in London, to firms that are based here, and all that. So sometimes we under limit ourselves to think of, oh, everybody's doing cleaning, let me just quickly join them and do. I think the world is bigger there's more to the world than that. It's about you sitting yourself and where do you fit, within this global environment, and how can you add value to yourself. So to summarize, have a clear goal, be very clear of what you want to do, ensure that, there's value addition in whatever you do, wherever you find yourself, not just in Nigeria, or I'm sure some people here, are in different countries across the world. Keep adding value. And lastly, always believe in, God, our maker, and hold him very firm in whatever you do. I don't think I can overemphasize that enough, because I know I'm speaking to people who we've all been part of this system. We know what it means to hold on to God, to always pray, read our Bible, ask God for guidance, and co. And I think, that is more or less the base upon which, success comes, or the road to success comes, because success is, of course, a journey. So I think I would just stop here, and perhaps if there are questions, if there are, I'll maybe hand over to you perhaps for the next speaker. So thank you. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, if you need any, clarification or anything at all, advice, or maybe you need me to expatiate on a particular point, I'm very much available. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Wow, I know I learned a lot. I don't know about you. And I believe we're going to have a session actually, possibly before the question and answer session, to just share what we have learned. But this was really impactful. So someone is asking if you can type in our questions. Sure, if you do not want to ask your questions vocally, you can actually type them down and they'll be attended to. Thank you very much. So we'll be moving straight to our second speaker, who is also a very unique individual, one with, I would say, wealth of experience as well. And he's one, you would say, an individual that God has really helped. You and I cannot overemphasize the God factor. It's very key in everything we're doing. So our next speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Agladima, presently studies Biblical and Religious Studies in Grove City College here in the United States. And he was the president of an on-campus organization called the Men of God, the member of a Senior Honor Society, and a finalist for the Man of the Year at Grove City College. So he's currently on campus ministry staff with the Coalition for Christian Outreach, ministering to students at La Roche University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's happily married to Madeline Agladima, and they had their wedding August 2021. And it's an opportunity and it's a pleasure to welcome on board Mr. Emmanuel Agladima. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Sure, we can.
Okay. Thank you for that kind introduction. If you haven't noticed, I am sitting in my car. I am actually away from home on a trip with my American family for my younger sister's graduation. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I'm currently in Lynchburg, Virginia. It's just about 6 hours away from home. It's about 6 a.m. here, so I didn't want to wake people up in the house that we rented. So yeah, I am thankful for the honor and privilege to speak to you guys today, to be here with you guys today, and to just share my story. And I hope that my story is encouraging to someone here today, this one person. So let's see. Confab is actually the conference where I met Jesus and gave my life to Christ. Prior to attending Confab, I believe that was back in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I was a member of the church, but had just never had dedicated my life to Christ. But I remember Rocco Ager. I'm not sure if that's what you still call him. It's been 8 years since I left home, but that was what I referred to him as back then. He led a talk, and he made an altar call, and I responded by raising my hand to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And after that, my life changed. One of the biggest things that changed about me was one of the biggest things that was evident was the joy that I had prior to becoming a Christian. I had a lot of anger issues, but that was just a 180-degree change. My background, I grew up in Police College Ikeja. My dad passed away when I was 7 years old. He was a police officer and a pastor in the Life Church. We were living in Jos at the time. I have two siblings that are back home in Nigeria. So humble beginnings. Yeah, after Dad passed away, we moved from Jos to Lagos. We lived in a house that was a single room apartment. There were myself, my brother, my sister, and my mom. And we all slept on one mattress. And as I got bigger and too big to be on the same bed with the rest of them, we got a mattress for myself that we would lay on the ground at night for me to sleep on. And in the morning when we wake up, we put it back on to the main mattress. And there was actually a point where we were technically homeless for about a month because the police academy, police college, they decided to do some renovations and kick us out without any prior notice and informed us that there was a chance that we might not be able to come back. It wasn't a guarantee. And so, yeah, we did not have a place to stay. We were living in this dormitory for police recruits. And I had totally forgotten about this, but as the other speaker was speaking, I realized there was a point where I worked myself as a cleaner at Archbishop Biden Church. I think it's a big Catholic church on Upper Akron Way, right outside of Police College. And I had graduated high school, and basketball is a big part of my life. Sports is a big part of my life. And didn't really have. I mean, back then, what the options that were available to us was, becoming a police officer. But I had big aspirations. I did have a lot of people that doubted me. I had a lot of people that did not think I was going to amount to anything. Um, but I also had people that believed in me, like Bro Pager and some mentors that I looked up to. And I saw that as motivation to work hard and prove those that believe in me right and those that did not believe in me wrong. Um, and I ended up playing in the league in Nigeria. I ended up becoming the captain of the junior national team back in 2012, and we went to the Republic of Benin to play tournaments there. And let me backtrack a little bit. We used to attend this retreat on Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and I remember how we would pray and just pray after, at the end of the day. Pastor Chidi was there, Bro Page was there, some other leaders from back in GB and districts and community districts as well. And my story involves a lot of faith in God and trust in God, because I felt like at the point there was nothing else to put my hope in. So I, came a Christian again, like I said, in 2011. And in 2014, I met someone who had a friend here in the US and could help me get a scholarship to come study here. So I got a scholarship, a basketball scholarship. But then I ended up tearing my labrum in my shoulder because of the kind of life that I lived back home. Most of you would know that those of you in Nigeria would know that not every home in Nigeria has running water in it. So to get water to my house, I had to go to the pump, and I lifted 225 liter gallons. And over time, this stretched my shoulder ligaments. And when I started to play basketball, I would have subluxations, which is basically dislocating my shoulder. So at the end of my first year, I tore my labrum, had to get surgery. I lost my scholarship offers. No, I didn't have a plan B. My mom could not afford to pay for my school here. The only reason that I even planned to come to the country was because I saw basketball as a means of getting an education in the US. And I was, quite frankly, hoping to go play at a professional level, because I had the work ethic and the ability to do that. But after my surgeries, I was unable to do any of that, and didn't, like I said, lost my scholarship. And again, my story is one of God's faithfulness. Um, where I grew up, people like us don't really dream of leaving the country. Like I said, it's a police academy. The highest you could do is become a police officer. But I trusted that God had bigger plans for me, personally. So I was here, no scholarship, no money to pay for school. And all I could do was pray. My family back home was praying with me. And while this was again back in August of 2016, the option was I had to pay this or I head back to Nigeria. I had to be enrolled in school because I came to this country on what's called an F1 student visa. And there was just coming back to Nigeria wasn't viable for me because that was not what I wanted for myself. I was finally really close to making something out of my life, and on the finances, I wouldn't have been able to make it. But long story short, back in August of 2016, while I was kind of running around, reaching out to people, seeing if I could raise money for school, praying while doing this. On a Friday, I got an email from the school that said I had a week to pay. So I got some academic scholarship as well. I had to pay $20,000, which is a lot of money, even here in the US. $20,000. This was a Friday. They said you have to pay this, or we cancel your acceptance. If they cancel my acceptance, what that would mean is I would have to come back to Nigeria. So I got this email on Friday, reaching out to people, had some friends and family here, and on Saturday, I found out about an organization that works with refugees and immigrants. And on Monday, I visited the office. I told them about my situation. And they said, well, we can't help you financially, but we can help you get a document that makes it look as if you're a resident. Well, that would be illegal. That's against the law, but a lot of people do it anyways. So I said to them, well, I can't do this. And they said, we can't help you. And this was my last hope. So we left the office, dejected, disappointed, not knowing what to do. And that Monday evening, while I was home with my host family is the family I live with while I'm here. I've lived with multiple host families, by the way. Broccoli Joe knows a little bit of those stories. But the host family I was living with had some family friends that were aware of my situation, but we had never even considered reaching out to them, asking them for support. And the wife called, this is close to midnight, and said her and her husband had been praying and they felt God leading them to give you the $20,000 that I needed for school for the next year, which again was a major answer to prayer. There's no explanation. There's no other way to explain it other than God answered my prayers. He heard our cries, heard my prayers, and he answered. And that was how God, through this family, provided for my next year of school. They got paid for just 1 year. Like I said, my story is one of God's faithfulness. It's just God's faithfulness. So I'll be sharing a lot of that, just how God has helped me since I've been in this country, away from my family. So they paid for my 1 year, and then there were 2 more other years. How was I going to get money for this? Well, while I was with this family, things did not work out well. I don't know how much you know about this in Nigeria, but racism is a thing in the US. This was a white family that I was living with. And they were just being racist towards everyone that looked different from them. And I felt like as a Christian, I owed it to them to tell them that the way you're living your lives is not honoring or glorifying to God. The way you talk about other people who are made in God's image. They obviously did not like this, so they kicked me out. So here I am in America. The only people I thought was were family, kicked me out of their home, told me not to come back. I don't have any, Nigerian relatives here. I don't know anyone here other than God. And I thankfully had secured a job, a summer job, working as a camp counselor, a Christian camp counselor. I just want to stop and say this: like, no matter where you find yourself, like, never walk away from God. Like, without God, you're nothing. You can have work ethic, you can have everything, but without God, you're nothing. And the reason I say that is I have observed now that I work in campus ministry. A lot of international students that I work with, they come here and just, want to party and they want to live what they view as the American life, and things end up being hard for them most of the time. So back to my story, I secured this summer job. I was working there, and I was very close to my directors, my employers, the camp directors. They all knew me, but I made it a point not to tell them that after this job, I don't have a home to go back to. I told that to God, and I said to God, Lord, I am going to trust you to provide for me. I am not going to ask any of these people. I'm going to trust you. And during that time, I was going through the book of Psalms, and that was very encouraging for me. And I made a point. So I'm just going to trust you, Lord. I'm not going to tell any human being. And sorry about that. It's actually getting brighter. It was dark outside. It's about 5 a.m. when this meeting started. So I'm going to go outside. And I think it's just a little clear out here. As I was saying, I made it a point not to tell anyone. Okay. Even though I was close to the people that worked at this camp, and I just said to God, I'm just going to trust you, Lord. I'm going to trust you to care for me, to provide for me. And while I was at this camp, I ended up hurting my knee. And like I said, it's a Christian sports camp. So we had a clinic where I went and got medication every evening to help me sleep. And while I was going there towards the end of the summer, I met this woman who was a nurse, and she was only there for 2 weeks, volunteering. And she asked if she could pray for my knee. And I said, of course. And while she was praying for my knee, she actually prayed for specific needs that I had. And this was just amazing to me. And again, this woman had never met me in her life. And after praying, she asked me, do you have a host family? I said I used to, but not anymore. And she said, while I was praying for your knee, God revealed to me that you need a host family, and I am willing to host you. So her daughter's graduation is what I'm attending right now at Liberty University, which is the biggest Christian university in the world. And this was too good to be true when she said this. I felt like this is too good to be true. I'm not going to believe this until I spend my first night in their home. So again, God provided for me when I needed tuition, and then when I needed a home, He provided for me. And the one thing I can say to you, and I know a lot of you know this, but I feel like I have to say it, is that it is very clear and obvious that this is God at work. There's no coincidences here. There's no like it's happening by chance. This is God's faithfulness. And that is how I ended up God provided a family for me, and I've lived with them until I graduated in 2020. And back to my story about tuition, it was family after family paying for my tuition. Again, I did get some scholarships because I've also worked hard as a student here. Like Sister Esther said, I part of the Senior Honor Society. It's always weird to talk about your accomplishments because then you feel like you're just bragging. So I won't say much about that, but I, by God's grace, have been an outstanding student. The other speaker talked about how he used to be shy and quiet, and quite honestly, that was me. Thank you. That was me. Back in Nigeria, and maybe Bro Kojo probably knew that about me. But as God would have it, there I've spoken to on a weekly basis. I spoke to 1,200 people every week on campus because I was also on the chapel staff team. So every Tuesday morning, I'm up front addressing 1,200 students, 1,200 students. And as I finish up here, I just want to say that some things that have helped me again is number one, faith in Jesus Christ. Without God, I am nothing. I would not be where I am today. But also work ethic, hard work. I have many reasons. There's so many things excuses I could give. I've had 3 surgeries since I've come to this country on different parts of my body. I've had lots of setbacks, but I have never let those setbacks define me. I have never let my setbacks define me. If you've familiar, Nelson Mandela, Invictus, his favorite poem that he read while he was in prison, he said, "I am the captain of my soul. I am the master of my fate." That focuses on me as the individual. We do know that without God we are nothing, but we also have our role to play. We have to be diligent. I remember attending Confab. I have my journals, or what we call diaries, from Confab all the way back to 2012 of like goals that I set for myself. I had clear and specific goals. I have the timeline. The timeline hasn't been perfect, but I have met these goals because I wrote them down. I have met a lot of these goals and have many more to go. I'm a lifelong learner. I haven't peaked yet. I am still planning on going to law school and becoming a lawyer. I still have plans to start a nonprofit back home in Nigeria. And there's just never be complacent. Never be complacent. Never settle. Never get comfortable. Always strive to be the best version of yourself. And also, you need to find your purpose in life. Our number one purpose in life is to glorify God and do His will. It could be in whatever career you find yourself in, you're glorifying God. There is no dichotomy. There is no separation between your work life and your faith life. All of that is brought under the lordship of Christ. And I forget where it says this, but it says, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men." And Jeremiah 29:11 says, "I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future." But in all this, God says, "Seek me. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Matthew 6:33. So it is God that should be our number one goal, and everything falls in place. Everything is going to fall in place. I believe I am running out of time. I got a notification I had about 5 minutes, but I hope this is an encouragement to someone. This is coming from someone who lost their dad when they were 7. And there were times where I ate just once a day, and God is good. God is good. There are people that come to this country and they suffer. I have, other than interpersonal relational issues, God has been good to me. I live a very comfortable life. I have all that I need. And again, a little bit uncomfortable, it comes across as bragging, so I'm not going to go into too much details, but we serve a faithful God. Wherever you are, be it in Nigeria, be it in Europe, be it in America, you're nothing without God. Never forget God. And your number one purpose in this life is to glorify God and to live according to His will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This has been great. And I personally have learned a lot of things. And like I said earlier, I'm going to ask the audience at some point to just share what they have learned so far. But some key things I can actually say I got from your session. First is never to let setbacks define you as an individual. Setbacks will definitely come. So it's key that no matter the situation, do not let it define you. And then from the very beginning of his session, he talked about opportunities. The fact is, as an individual, you need to be open to opportunities and be on the lookout, connect with the right people, because your network as an individual is more or less your net worth, because you end up meeting a lot of people that you don't know how they'll help out. You are not meeting them for the purpose of them helping you, but have the right set of people around you. And the fact is, racism is real to an extent. It's not something nice. Yes, we serve one God, as we all believe, and we are all created in the image of God. But yeah, we are Christians as well, but it's really something not funny. Then the fact that having 3 surgeries, healthcare here in the United States is terrible, like very expensive. So I can't even imagine how that would have gone. It's really a terrible scenario. But above all, we give glory to God for everything he has done, for making your life a testimony. And I'm sure a lot of people will have questions. So we would get to hear you speak again during the question and answer session. Thank you very much. So we'll be moving on to the final speaker for today. Yes, she's here. So this amazing lady, it's wonderful to be the only female in a panel of 3 speakers. So she's the queen of them all. And she's actually Yetunde Hefziba Ile Togun. And she's a specialized educator with over 7 years and counting of working with individuals, especially children on the autism spectrum, which presents autism and other comorbidities. And she's also skilled, highly skilled, and she has quite a depth of experience in applied behavior analysis strategies. And she has actually said that nothing gives her immense joy than seeing that children attain functionality in their daily living. They are able to help themselves and in every aspect of life. And she's an autism advocate, and she trains parents and paraprofessionals. However, she has a bachelor's degree in geography. Then she also underwent a specialized training in RBC, psychiatric and mental health services, technician between 2014 to 2017. And she's also presently undergoing her master's degree in the prestigious University of Lagos. And today she's a licensed and a first aid CPR AED for schools and the community from the American Health Association, and an assistant behavior analyst qualified. She's also an applied behavior analyst with the credentialing board. In summary, she has the heart to do good. And like she has said, the heart to do good requires a lot of guts and the willpower to definitely make a difference. So please join me as I welcome Yetunde Ile Togun.
Thank you very much, Ms. Esther, for this opportunity. Thank you, Pastor Koijo, for this opportunity. And I also thank the other speakers. And I hope that my story today will be able to, resonate with, even if it's just one person. I hope to God that I'll be able to do that. Okay. Again, my name is Yetunde, and I work with individuals that live with autism. I work in Nigeria, Lagos, but I'm currently outside of Lagos, came for vacation. And I would just like to use stories to tell my story, because my life, looking back, I remembered when I went to Adam's lesson one time, somebody said something that I still remember till today. He said that the world as a whole does not want you to move forward. You have to keep pushing, keep pressing, and keep going. Like what the second speaker just said, we have God, quite all right, but you have to also keep pushing. You have to keep moving. You can't be complacent. You can't say, okay, because we have God, I'll just, I won't do anything. I'll just, you will not have that good work ethics, and not just, and that's what we have with the current Gen Zs of this, this generation. They just feel, okay, let's just do what we have to do and let's see where it ends up. But my life has been, I've always had to be very intentional about my life. I tell people that wherever I am today is because of the words the positive words I spoke in the past, and me having to constantly push. Because I would not lie to you guys, my life has been, I would not say hard, but I've always had things, I've always had to push for things. Unlike the way people would get things so easy and, oh, I got this. I have plans. I would have written out my plans. Oh, I want to graduate by this year. I want to graduate by this year. I want to graduate by this year. I work towards the plans, but sometimes these plans do not fall through. And what do? I do not give up. I just keep pushing. Wherever I am today is because of my intentionality and constantly pushing for the best. And God has been faithful. So let me start from my humble beginnings. I remember I grew up in Ikeja, living in a one-bedroom, is it one bedroom? I don't know. Some looks like one-bedroom apartment with my brothers. We've always had it very rough. But if there's something I thank my parents for, it's, that they didn't have much, but the little that they had, they made sure that we got the best of, the education that they could afford. We lived there, and I was telling somebody recently that there was nothing that I did not sell. If I could lose in this part of my head, you see that this part of my hair is coily. Do you know why it's coily? Because growing up, we had to carry trays on our head to sell stuff. There was nothing we did not sell. I remember we sold oranges, onions, pepper, whatever it is that you can think of in this life, we've sold it. There's nothing I've not done. I tell people that, see, when you're looking for an hustler, should I say like a correct hustler in this Lagos, you can pick me, because there's actually no job I've not done. I remember going to Muson Center to do this ushering job. One of my church members just told me that, oh, so we have this job that I want you guys to go and do. And I remember that when I got to the place, I saw my friends from school. I think ASU was on strike, and I saw my friends from school. I just pretended as if I didn't know them. I mean, I just had to do the job that I had to do. I remember doing this job that we, we had to pack hampers for people that were selling it during festive period. Jobs that would not even sleep. But the whole essence of, all of these jobs that I did is now that I'm beginning to see the significance of it, of how God was just directly or indirectly preparing me for the journey ahead, because like I said earlier, that I've not always had things easy, but one thing I know that I do not do is I do not give up. Whether I have it easy or not, I do not give up. I don't mind if I have to I have so many exams that I have failed that I did not give up. In fact, the most recent one is the one that I recently passed an exam in December. I'll just give you guys the backstory of how this exam went. That was my third time of writing that exam. The first time I wrote the exam, that was my first time of leaving the country. I was more excited about leaving the country than even the exam. And I remember that I didn't even care. In my mind, I thought I had read, I thought I had prepared for the exam. But when I got there, I realized that, oh boy, I just totally failed that one. So I didn't really bother. The second one I prepared, but it was during the COVID period. I remember that when we got to the border of the town that we were going to, there were so many restrictions. so many restrictions, but we just kept pushing. You know, we got to the border like 3 times. They told us that we cannot enter. You have to go back, quarantine for 10. You have to stay in the hotel. It was just crazy. But I didn't give up. And I remember that the third one, which was just in December, I just told God that this one, if I don't pass it, I'm not even trying again, because I've spent so much money on, you know, all of the preparation, the visa, all of that. But as God will have it, we had it very rough. In fact, the last 2 times I traveled, I contracted COVID on the road. I was sick, but I just kept telling myself that, you cannot be sick. You have to press on for this exam. You know, you cannot be sick. You have to. In fact, the day of the exam, I still had the COVID. But long and short story, God has just been faithful. And I thank God that at the end of the day, I passed the exam. And family hard times, I'm just trying to follow the list that was sent to me actually. The family hard times that we've had was, I remember, like I told you, that I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, but we've always had, you know, we just make do. The little we had, we just have to continue. I remember I started working when I was 15 years old. And that was when I became independent, because I felt if my parents were struggling this much to afford, you know, basic things, there was no need for me to just keep sitting down. The first job I got was as a teacher in one school in Ikeja. I remember that I went to the school and I was working, and my first salary was, I think, 1,250 naira. After I paid my tithe, I had nothing left. But out of those ones, I still had to give my, and I still had to sort myself. So I know I've been independent for quite a while, since I was 15, just working and just. I remember when I was in the university, my second year in university, my parents called me and asked that, oh, have you paid your school fees? I had even forgotten that I had paid the school fees, because I was already working. Even while in school, I had so many jobs that I was doing. I could type for people, I could write. I have a very beautiful handwriting. I write people's notes. Sometimes I would write my notes and make summaries, and people would collect my summaries to read instead of reading the actual notes, you know, just doing all sorts of stuff just to survive and to make by. And my parents would ask me, oh, have you paid your school fees? And I'll tell them that, oh, I have paid, because then, I mean, I went to Ife. Ife was quite cheap. Then it was, I think, 5,019 naira. I didn't have to stress them. And my parents would say till today that of all their children that went to school, that I'm the only one that they didn't even feel it that they sent anybody to school. But thinking about it now, I realized that I was doing so many things. I had to monetize so many things, because I had to make money in a way to sustain myself in the university. I've always loved to teach, because I remember in school that I would call for what's it called? I'll call for group discussions, so we can just discuss what we did in school. While I was doing it then, I wasn't doing it because of the money. I was just doing it because it was something that I liked. And then I remember then in church, to Deeper Life Bible Church, we're having community lessons. Okay, you teach this subject, you teach this subject. When I went to serve too, I taught almost 8 subjects while I was serving. My people then thought I was doing it because of the money, but I was doing it more because that was what I had the interest in. I just love to constantly teach, you know, and I feel that if I'm good at something, I also want to pass the knowledge. So, you know, I kept just doing that, doing lessons for my colleagues in school, until when I graduated and ASU delayed. In fact, ASU delayed me for almost 2 years at home. I didn't have any carryover, but then ASU delayed me. And a church member told me, that I said, you know what, I want us to run this program that would involve us working with people on the spectrum. I've always loved to teach. I had the plan of working with a multinational when I graduated from school. In fact, as at then, there was this subsidiary of NNPC that I already started their exam, their interview process and everything. And I think I already got to the second stage when this person came and said, okay, I want us to do this. In my mind, I was like, man, I don't think I want to do this. Do I have the strength to work with special needs children? But you know, when God is preparing for something, sometimes you just, I don't know, but I just kept following what was available then. I went for the training, and then when I came back from NYC, I had to start with my first client. But then I realized that as I continued in this job, my first, second, third month, it was not about the money. as people would say, because there was no money then when we actually started. But it was more about the fulfillment that I got in the job. And I felt, okay, this is something that I want to do. My other colleagues from school wanted me to follow them to, the other companies. Sterling Bank was calling then. They wanted me to come. And then I remember Sterling Bank was calling and one other big company, but I just decided, you know what, to stay on this path, because I met people along the way that told me that I think this is what God wants you to do. And I'm very grateful to those people in my life, because in fact, there were two of them that I didn't even know. And then they told me that this is what God wants you to do, that I should despise the days of little beginnings. I said, okay, so I kept doing it. And then I believe that if it's something I want to do, I can well get enough certifications that would,
Hello.
Okay, so sorry for that. So I felt if it was something that I was going to do, then I needed to upgrade my skills and do more. And that was what led me into the journey of doing, all of these certifications that I have now, and doing it. And if there's anything I'm thankful for, it's for the people that God puts in my life at every point in my journey. It's just now that I'm beginning to understand what God was doing. Then I just felt, it was just me doing life. But I realized that at every point in my life, at every point in my journey, God put some very strategic people there to lead me to where I am today. I was telling my friend this morning that grass to grace, that I'm not completely there. Like the first speaker said, it's a journey. We keep going, but I'm not where I used to be. And wherever I am today, I am thankful to God for being here, because if there's anything I have to say about this journey, I have to tell you guys that it has been a very intentional journey. It has been a journey that has been, surrounded with so many battles, but regardless of the battles, I am somebody that I do not know how to give up. I have to just keep going. If there's something I want you guys to learn from my talk today, I want you guys to learn to believe in yourself. You might not have that external motivation, but the internal motivation that you have to just keep pushing. There'll be times when you are tired. There'll be times when you want to give up. There'll be times when you want to just throw in towel and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing it again. Please do not do that. Just keep moving. Keep believing in yourself, and keep celebrating the little victories that you have, because along the way to the bigger picture, along the way to the bigger goal that you would have some other little victories that you would have made. Celebrate those little victories and keep pushing for the bigger picture. Keep pushing for the bigger goal. And then if there's anything that has helped me again in my life, it's about me speaking positively. Like, I know things are really bad. Nigeria, the country is, it's just, the country keeps frustrating you. And I think this frustration is even everywhere, not just Nigeria, actually. So, but then, the country keeps frustrating you. You're trying to go this way, they're blocking you. You're trying to go this way, they're blocking you. But one thing I did while I was in school that I remember very well is speaking positively. When my friends say that, I will just jack back. When I jack back, I'll go and be doing whatever I want. I told them that I'm not going to jack back, but all of these countries, I'm going to go to these countries and I'm going to go as a professional. And so far, that's what God has been doing. And I'm very grateful for that. So another thing you should learn is to speak positively. The world would want you to, whatever is going on in the world would want to say, and this world is very difficult. I'm even trying this. Don't give up. Just keep going. Have a plan. Keep working towards that plan. You might not exactly get to that goal that you have written down. Sometimes you might get there, but sometimes you realize that that goal that you have even written down might not actually be what God wants for you. It might just be something close. But when you are pushing for it, even if you do not get there, you get to somewhere that is very close to that goal. Then okay, so and another thing I want us to do is consistency. Believe the process. I tell my younger ones that, see, if you see anybody that just grew up very successful without having any backstory or having anything that they've done, that maybe their values and their cultures and everything, then also that one is just scam. For very successful people, they believed in the process while they were going on. It was a process. They started from here. They kept going. They didn't give up. They had reasons to give up, but they kept going until they became who they are. Like I talked about celebrating little victories. On the way to the bigger picture, there'll be some little victories and joys that you experience. Enjoy and what's the word? Bask in these little victories that you have, because it is in the celebrating of the smaller ones that the bigger ones will come. And something about contentment too. I was discussing with my friend recently, and I told her that if there's anything I'm thankful for, it is the background. It is the background that I have, and I have Deeper Life Bible Church to be very to be thankful for that. Deeper Life Bible Church helped me, and is still helping me in different ways. I learned so many values from that church, and I would not take it for granted. I learned to be very content with what I have. Like the first speaker said, there are so many competitions out there. First and foremost, you're not in any competition with anybody. You're in a competition with yourself. Set your goals, walk towards your goal. Because if you say you should look at what's going on out there, you would just go astray. And that's why so many people in the process of wanting to be, I want to be this, I want to be that, not wanting to follow the process, they'll now follow what is out there, which is the wrong thing. So I learned from Deeper Life, very content to, to follow that process, to be very systematic. Anything before, like my parents would say that every good thing, I don't know how to say, but I'll just paraphrase it, that for every good thing to come, you have to work towards it. You cannot be complacent and just believe that, okay, it will come because the Bible told me that my name is Folorunso. I will now be using plantain tree to climb a purple tree. No, you have to work. You have to put in the work. Put in the effort, and then believe that God that sees all things will see the consistency, all of the hard work, and then He would of our ends. I hope that these few things I've said today will be able to, resonate with, even if it's just one person. And I pray that God will continue to help us all. We cannot remove the God factor. God is very important in all of our journey. Actually, He is the number one. Without God, we cannot do anything. And I can attest to the great things that God has done in my life. In fact, my life, I can say, is 99% God and just 1% me. I'm not where I want to be, but it's a journey, and I keep getting closer and closer and closer. So again, I'm just encouraging, my people out there that believe the process, be consistent, don't give up, celebrate the little victories that you have. Sometimes your plan might not work as you want. It might not even be God's plan, but whichever one it is, always commit your plans to God. And I believe that the ever faithful God would help and will see us through in this journey of life in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very, very much. I'm so grateful. I personally have learned a lot, and if there's something that is notable about our three speakers, theirs is a story of mercy and grace. There's a popular quote that says, when grace speaks, protocols are broken. And another important thing I've learned from these three individuals is them constantly holding on to God, and God has actually proved Himself faithful. There's something I usually say, like, God has not failed, and He definitely won't start failing with your case or from your case. Like the first speaker said, he actually said quite a lot of things, but it's always key to have a vision. He emphasized on that. The third speaker also emphasized on that, having a vision, running with that vision, knowing where you want to go, knowing what you want to achieve. And they actually said something notable, that they decided that if they were going to go to another country, they were going as professionals. And God has actually helped them to stick to this vision, to stick to this plan, to stick to this goal. And there's also a place of daily affirmations. The both of them actually said something in line with that. positive declarations to yourself every day cannot be overemphasized. It does something to your inner man. So we as believers, we speak the things, speak like you speak what you want to happen, speak into your life, speak into your situation, and it will definitely happen as you have said, but you have to put in the work also. You have to follow the process. It doesn't just happen magically. You have to follow the process. You have to do what needs to be done. You need to have a personal plan. Then your approach to work, you need to have work ethics. Among the three speakers, we will see that every one of them has a strong background of having good ethics, of having ethics that has helped them to the places they are. You really cannot go far if you have a bad character. You really cannot do so much if your ethics are or your values are limited. The higher you go, so much is expected of you. So your values also have to align. And finally, we should also be open to feedback. The first speakers spoke on this as individuals, not even believers now. The higher you go, you should get feedbacks from people. It will help you develop yourself. It will help you grow. It would help you adjust things that needs to be adjusted such that the next level you are getting to, there will be no issues. You've already crossed some bridges. So as individuals, we should be open to feedback to help and to aid our growth. So we'll be going to the question and answer session. But before we do that, we would want to invite the convener of the Confab series, Mr. Koejo Oluwatosin. We call him Daddy K anyway. So we want to invite him to at least say a few words. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Esther. Thank you very much, our wonderful esteemed speakers. I really appreciate your time and input in today's session. I want to say that this has been very, very impactful for me, myself, hearing the stories. These are people that I've known for the past 20, 21 years. And interesting to see how God has transformed their lives all through to this time. So I just want to say that, yes, we're grateful. Let me start with Wilson. Wilson Erumebo was actually part of the first founding team of the Confab when we were starting out the Confab in 2011. In fact, he wrote the working document for the Confab. The initial working document for the Confab in 2011 was written by Wilson. And when we were having the first session, he did the presentation. And we're glad to see how God, in his wisdom and power, has assisted him to this point. He's been quite conservative about how far and how well the Lord has, lifted him up. I was privileged to be at the NESG conference about 2 years ago, where Wilson was unveiling the economic plan for Nigeria 2050. And, all the cream de la cream, the HNIs, top government functionaries, the president of this country, everybody was listening to Wilson speak. And I was so proud because, I always brag and say that Wilson is my student. Yes, but privilege of leadership. And yes, the first time I passed cross was when he was in JS3 and been taking special attention. And there's something that happened that really touched me, when he was going to school. So usually I visit my students to just check on them. How are you doing? How was your exams? And he just finished SS3 about 3, 4, 5 months earlier. I said, how are you doing? How's everything? He said, I'm fine. I said, how was your result? He said, I've just gotten an admission. It was shocking to me. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is one student that was just, there quiet somewhere. And knowing that he was smashing it in one sitting. So I began to take special notice of him afterwards that, okay, this is not a pushover. And over the time, I have seen by experience that God has been with him and also with his family. Then also for Emmanuel, thank you so much for taking out time to I know you got up by 4 a.m. so that you can be part of this session. And I'm grateful to God for his impact in your life. Your story is remarkable. Every time I hear it, I just know this is just 1,000,000,000% God. And of course, Yetunde, Letogun, we have a very long history together. And I've seen that, the Lord has been with you despite the challenges. You have continued to conquer along the road and along the way. So for everybody on this call, before we begin to take questions, I just want to say, yes, direct the questions to who you want to answer. And I'm sure the moderator will create the questions to be able to provide answers. Before continuing, I see some very amazing people on the call. I want to recognize my very long time JS student. She's now a mother and a wife, Lydia Tonito Samuel. Amazing. If you can unmute your mic and just say hello. It's good to see you here. Good to
sorry,
reconnect
guys.
with you.
Hi, Brother Kwejo.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hello, Lydia. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
It has.
Great. I needed to give you this. Yes. I hope that we will talk more after this conversation. God bless you.
Definitely. Amen.
All right. So also before we go to the questions, we are having the main conference, Confab 13. Confab 13 is going to happen late July, early August. We'll let you know the exact date for that Confab 13. But just like we promised, we will be doing some sessions in Europe, most likely in Milan later this year, and also in Netherlands. So Confab is going to Europe, and very soon with our partners with Emmanuel Agladima and Esther, and we should see how we can bring Confab across to America as well. So the end game is to see how to continue to inspire young people to reach their purpose. And please, the feedbacks you take from this, energize your spirit, connect with God, with all this information. Know for free that you can continue to go forward despite the challenges that has come or will come your way. We have gone from grass to grace, from grace to greatness, and there is no giving up. I'm handing over to the moderator to continue question and answers, and we wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fabike. Okay, I just want to confirm from any of our speakers, have you gotten any direct questions before I allow people to ask their questions? Okay, pending when that response comes in, all right. If you have a question, let's just make this as orderly as possible. So you can just signify with a raise of hand, use the Zoom raise of hand button, and you'll be given an opportunity to ask a question. Okay, I have one person. All right. Lydia, you can go ahead while we are with others. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. So my first question will be directed to Wilson. Hi Ruma, it's nice to see you. I feel so proud knowing you guys, knowing Yetunde. And Yetunde, we've been friends for, I keep saying this, close to 3 decades now. So my first question is, did you ever at any point have self-doubt? And secondly, how did you handle adversities like, people doubting you? Because it's easy to say that you know what you want, you go for what you want, you pursue your dreams. But how did you handle people doubting you? And then, because I know the world is a wicked place, people not just doubt you behind, but say it to your face. How do you handle adversities like that? Then my second question is directed to my friend, Yetunde. Did you ever see yourself here? I understand that sometimes the path we take in life leads us to our end goal or where God actually wants us to be. So my question is, did you ever see yourself getting to this point and achieving the much you have achieved now?
Okay, Mr. Wilson, do you want to go first? Then Yetunde afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Apologies, I was going out, so I had to, I was almost out when I just said, let me, I had a message that I needed to wait for the question part. Tricky question, self-doubts. I think no, I've never ever for any reason doubted myself, or I mean, for whatever reason. I think, I don't know, maybe it's the way I'm wired, or maybe it's my background. Sometimes too, maybe your family, the way everything is. I knew I wanted to change the state of things, particularly from, you know, my parents, my family, you know, how hard it was, you know, for us, you know, back then. So I just had every sense of conviction, and also, you know, the background, being in deeper life, you know, listening to some of those messages from, you know, Pastor Kumoyi, associating myself with people who, you know, somehow in a way would give you motivation and tell you, oh, you know, we believe in you, you're very smart, you're very intelligent, and all of those things. So for me personally, I never for once, and even till today, I don't have any doubt whatsoever. I believe I can address whoever, you know, I've spoken to. I mean, whether it's people at the highest level of government, I do presentations to boards, you know, companies. I don't know, it's hard for me to talk a lot about myself because it seems like, you know, you're bragging or you're saying too much. So, but I think I've never for once had that self-doubt. But in terms of people, you know, believing in me, of course, I've had cases where people would even look at you and say, you know, harsh things to you. Sometimes it may not be directly, sometimes it could be writing an exam. And I used to say, you know, many years ago, like most of the things I apply for, I get them. But when I got to my late 20s, you know, I started failing some things. And to me, it was like, this is a good reality check. Like, you need to wake up. This is life, you know. So you write an exam, you fail. You know, I remember doing ACCA, you know, I'll do 3 papers, I'll pass one and then fail two. I'll be like, what's going on? I thought I used to be very brilliant, you know. I remember applying for a job at one of the big four then, you know, because everybody, once you are off in economics, accounting, you want to do the big four. Like, that's where the goal is. I remember applying for a job, and then they told me that, in fact, I didn't even get to the interview level. I did the personality test, and they told me that your personality does not fit the kind of person that we need in the firm. To me, that was like, I said, I'm going to do a presentation to the CEO of this company, like one day. Even if, fine, I don't fit to come into your company, right? Don't worry. Like, I think some of those little things trigger me to a point, like I get almost angry, like, why would you reject me? And where I channel that anger or energy towards is me being better than who I was, and say, look, I need to get whatever skills I need. I need to, you know, hone my presentation skills. I need to, you know, read as much as possible, because of course in my career line, you have to read, you know. So those, you know, little things have geared me towards being very deliberate in my action, you know, and also schooling, you know, applying to so many universities before I got my current university to do a PhD in London. It wasn't easy. Like, you apply, some of them will just reject your application immediately. In short, I applied for a fund. I don't know, the Mo Ibrahim Scholarship Fund. It took like was it just a few hours? I just got a rejection. Sorry, you did not fit who we are looking for. To me, though, it was hard, you know, but at the same time, I kept trying, kept pushing, and, you know, until I got to one of the highest ranked universities as far as development studies is concerned, you know, in the world, you know, in the UK as well. So for me, I think when people doubt you. If people don't doubt you, perhaps maybe there's something you're not even doing right in a way, because when you have bigger dreams or you share ideas and plans, some people would be like, this small guy, are you sure you can achieve this? Like, so there's that element of people questioning you that your plan is too big for you. So I think what you owe them, as an individual, is to be able to prove them wrong. And that's where you should don't channel your energy towards the person. I think it's to channel your energy towards what you've presented and how you can even achieve it so much more. At a very young age, I started doing TV interviews, channels, TV, Arise TV, speaking on the economy. Some of those things came because I believed that I could do it. Sometimes I'll pick a clip of someone that has done it before and watch and feel like, the first interview I was shaky, of course, but now I've done countless number, if not over 100, BBC speaking on different issues across, so it's never been like that. When you see me speaking or something, talking about something, you're like, oh, this guy, there's no school that trained me for that. Sometimes it's harsh. Even, you get harsh comments from people like, what did you just say? How did you shouldn't have said it? So it's always you trying to improve the process and also, being better than, than you were before. I think that's one key thing. And I'd say that it's good to see today, Lydia. I mean, these are people that, back then we went to church together, our houses were still very close to each other, in Ikeja and all that. So, and it's a pleasure to see everyone and to see that you guys are doing amazing work wherever you are. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, you're up next.
Yeah. Sorry, please, Lydia, can you please ask the question again? And Wilson, it's so good to see you today. Actually, in the UK, I'm in London, so we can meet up if you want us. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. That would be lovely. Yeah.
So,
I'll
Lydia,
reach out to you after this.
thank you.
Hi. So the question was, did you ever see yourself here? Yes, I know our paths at the end of the day leads us up to where God wants us to be. But your first degree was
Geography.
in geography. So it's like you went to the other side of the,
Yes. Answer your question. I think yes. I read geography, but I've always loved to teach. When I was in school, my classmates would ask me, "Are you sure this is what you should be doing? Are you sure you don't want to be a lecturer or something somewhere?" I've always loved to teach. So when the opportunity came for me to go for training, I knew this was where I was going to be. I had some doubts actually, but then I met people along the way. I met two people that just came from South Africa. Then I didn't know them. I just met them in the house, and then they told me that I should not despise the days of this again. That this is what God wants me to do. That it's a fulfilling calling. It just went all about what I should stay here, and then I also had dreams to kind of confirm that this was where God wanted me to be. So I would say I have yes, to your question, I'll say yes, and I believe that I'm going to go higher and better to even more, better places. So, yes.
Okay. Lydia, do you think your questions have been answered?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So we have another question for Mr. Emmanuel. I don't know if he's still here. Someone is asking that how does it feel serving God in a strange land? Mr. Emmanuel, can you hear us? Oh.
Yes. does it feel serving God in a strange land? Um, I wouldn't really consider. Well, it is strange in the fact that this is not my home country. Um, but I wouldn't really consider, this a strange land. In the sense that even though portrayals of the United States on media doesn't present like a very Christian country, but it is a very Christian country, relatively speaking. And I would say that some of the differences are, here there's a strong emphasis on theology. And while we back home in Nigeria, we have a strong emphasis on faith. There are Christians here that do not believe in miracles. They're Christians, and they're called cessationists. They believe that the ministry of the Holy Spirit ceased with the apostles. So after the apostles, no more miracles, no more healings. So I feel like I bring, this rich faith because of my background as a Nigerian Christian, as some of the Deeper Bible Church that has been to different retreats and camps and conferences and have witnessed miracles and healings and things like that. I would say that. So yeah, I feel like I bring a different perspective that challenges their perspective here. One which is rich, but I also have a lot of theological learning, and that also, Emmanuel, God is with us. God is with me here. If I were in China, God is with me there. If I were in South Korea, God is with me there. Yeah, it's. I feel like I bring a different perspective. That trying to create something like a hybrid of like the best of both worlds. Here being the theological knowledge, back home there is theological knowledge back home too, but we have very rich faith that not everyone here is able to portray or to believe. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
and honestly, there are distractions. If the other thing, there are lots of distractions. I mean, this is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. But for me, the knowledge of the fact that it is only by God's grace that I'm here. It is God that has brought me this far. So who am I to walk away? If I walk away, where am I walking to? So again, just knowing that God, through his son Jesus Christ, has done something for me, paid the price for me that I could never pay myself. I owe him my life. And the only response, the right response, is to surrender my entire life to him, no matter where I am, how I'm doing. So there are distractions, but surrounded myself with fellow Christians, other Nigerians that are here, Americans that are here, just having a mentor, someone pour into me, having a mentee, someone that I'm pouring into, that I disciple, has played a valuable role in keeping me in the faith.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone sent, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Someone sent a direct message to you yesterday. So you can possibly read the question and just give a general answer to everyone.
Okay, I already sent a message to her to WhatsApp me on my Nigerian number, and then maybe we'll discuss. But do you still want me to read it out?
Sure, you can.
Okay, so she says, good morning, ma'am. My question is, how do I handle a situation where the more I keep pushing to be where I want to be, the more family members that are supposed to encourage me keep wanting me to do what they want? Example is, I couldn't make a very good result at the university. I want to make it up to myself, but they keep forcing me to come over to where my auntie is and just do what they want. How do I handle this and be bold enough to face my own future? I don't think I want, I don't think I want to answer this right now. So I think I already sent her a message I already sent her my number. So she sent me a WhatsApp message and we'll see how we can work this out.
Okay. Thank you very much. And in addition to that, to any other person that might be going through something like this, the fact is, it's your life, and in the long run, you would definitely reap the reward of your actions now. So it's really not about doing something to please people. Yeah, it's the kind of country we come from, our culture. You have to, and the Bible also says, honor your father and your mother if the people in question are your parents. But at some point, you might just have to draw a line, and above all, knowing where and what God wants you to do and where He wants you to go. It will definitely help you. So it's really not about people. At some point, you have to stand alone. It will get to some phases of your life where you would be left alone and left to make a particular choice. So those points are very critical. You know where you want to get to. You know what you have in mind for your future. And I think that's basically what matters. Okay, someone also has a question from, sent to Mr. Wilson. So Wilson, I think you can just answer that.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if she wants to go live or to ask a question or something.
Do you have the question already? You want to read it out?
Yeah, so
yeah, sure.
The question is on your experience is very challenging and very challenging and impactful. It is building a kind of confidence in me. Thank you. My question is, you mentioned that you builded your presentation skills. How did you build your presentation skills? So I guess this is relating to presentation. And I think this is very important, for everyone, in fact, to be able to communicate very clearly. And one of the things I said was, first thing first is you need to know what you want to communicate. So which is building expertise on the subject itself. So for instance, if you call me to come and speak about medicine or something, I wouldn't know what to say, because that's not my area of expertise. So whatever you are speaking on, try to build, try to have very deep knowledge of that issue, because there's a point where you get to that when you know so much about something, that in itself builds confidence in you. Like, because you're already expecting questions that haven't been asked, you can address questions from different issues, different perspectives. The other thing is to take advantage of some of these online platforms to learn, watch videos on YouTube, take courses on, is it Coursera, different platforms. YouTube is probably free and you see thousands of videos that speaks to how you can present. And presentation also comes in different forms. There's a difference between presenting at a conference or speaking live like this, or even being on a live session, maybe like on a panel session physically, or being on TV interviews. So different approaches come, because on TV interviews, for instance, you can't afford to make mistakes because it's being recorded live. So you need to be very succinct with your ideas and straight to the point. So different platforms offers different approaches. So you may just check online to see any of these platforms and take advantage of them. And lastly, do rehearsals with yourself. Speak to yourself. Sometimes when no one is watching, I must confess, like I still do it even now. That's to tell you that you can't be perfect on these things. When I have a very serious engagement, sometimes I lock myself in the room. I just sit and try to, I'm rehearsing, trying to, I think that is something that, you need to keep doing. And sometimes, in short, 80% of the time when you get on stage or wherever, a lot of the things you rehearsed, it happens sometimes in the way you plan it. There may be differences and but I think you can learn from that. And I then concluded my response to the person that perhaps you should have asked this question live. Maybe that's one, if you had asked it live, maybe that's one way for you to boost your confidence. And so that's what I was saying, if the person can ask the question, but it's okay, it's still fine. There's always another time.
Yeah, please, let's try to build our confidence. It cannot be overemphasized, because you get to some platforms where speaking is not really, it's just like part of an evaluation, but it shouldn't get to that point where it's an evaluation or something that you'll be graded on or evaluated on, then you have to speak. We should learn to speak in situations, at least to an extent, still work on your visibility as an individual. So today has actually been very, very impactful for me. I've learned a lot, and I have a lot added to my notes already that I have to go back and look through. And I can actually say that I believe everyone has also learned one or two things. I initially said I was going to give an opportunity for people to say one or two things about what they've learned, but we've gone past our time. So we'll be wrapping up shortly. We just want to have a closing address by Pastor Kwejo. I think he's still here. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to just, first and foremost, I want to extend my sincere appreciation to all the speakers for staying 2 hours with us on this call. Thank you for your investment and time in the lives of other people. My sincere prayer is that you're going to go from glory to glory, from grace to greatness. And also for everybody on this call, I want to appreciate you for taking our time to be here. It's also an indication that you are intentional about, what God has planned for your life and what you want to be. We all have, different stories of how, we have conquered the various odds in our life, but you cannot but continue to trust God as you go on. Keep believing God for big things, keep trusting God for big things, and keep taking bold steps. I want to say that we will want to going to engage with you going forward. If you need any support of any kind of further questions, we have Gmail address. You can reach us, theconfab01.com. Esther has already posted that to the WhatsApp group. Then if you want to, commit and dedicate yourself to Christ in a consistent walk with him, please go ahead and, send us an email and we will get in touch with you. Our goal is to ensure that, Confab, they mentioned Confab. Confab is made up of a sentence or a phrase, and that phrase is the Conference of Faithful Ambassadors. So the goal is, to inspire people to live their God-given life and reach their God-given dreams, so, and we will not forget that fact. So you're there on this call. We are wrapping up the program in another 2 minutes, and we're saying that you want to, consistently continue in your walk with God. You want to make a decision for him. Just shoot us an email, and surely we'll be in touch to support you through that process, to start a discipleship program with you and the likes. If you have further questions on what we learned today, go ahead and if you want, of course, direct emails to the speakers, we will surely do that. We are also going to put this particular session on a YouTube channel in the next 1 hour. No, sorry, in the next 12 hours. So just stay tuned and we'll share the link with us. Yes, so you could check our YouTube channel link has been sent by Esther, so you can check that link any couple of times, and you would find it therein. I want to give glory to God for how far we have come from 2011. This is 2022. and it's been 2011 to 2022. That's 11 years, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the 13th edition that we'll be having in middle of August, where we're going to have the conference of Faithful Ambassador, the main conference. We have the Confab series, what we're doing, then we have the main conference. So please, we're going to reach out to you anywhere you are. We're going to have a very intense session in mid-August. Those of us in the diaspora, in London, in Europe, will send you links where you can also connect. Yes, thank you everyone for making it out to be on this call today. I see a lot of names here. I see a lot of people joining us for the first time as well. Thank you so much and have a wonderful time. Keep the experience and keep building. Trust God, hold on to him. Future is guaranteed. Thank you very much. Over to Esther.
Thank you so much, Pastor K. And thank you very much, everyone. It's been a wonderful session really. And I also want to appreciate our speakers for taking out time to speak to us, speak to we individuals, we young individuals that need to achieve more with our lives. And I know that this won't just be the end. We would work on following process, growing as individuals in our daily lives. And above all, we'll not neglect the God factor. Thank you very much, everyone. It was nice having you. And we'll see you in the next Confab series.
Yeah, June edition. Yes, first Saturday in June. We'll be right back.
Exactly. Thank you very much, everyone. And do have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. You can unmute your mic and say hello to somebody. Yeah. Unmute your mic and say hi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rome.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
thank
Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us. Unmute your mic, show your video. Let's see you. I see Ola with a blessing. I see Bimi follower, Emerald, Joshua, blessing. Yes, John Wanchuku, great to see you. Priscilla, Edward, fantastic, great to see you as well. I have Ruth on the call. I have Ebenezer Makato. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this session. Lydia, Tonito Samuel, interesting. Faith, see you. Mr. Joshua. Yeah, thank you very much for being on the call. Emmanuel, so Emmanuel will be in touch. Wilson will be in touch. Yeti will be in touch. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so in another 12 hours, we'll share the link. And thank you very much. Then please watch this space for Confab Milan. And also the main conference in August. Yeah.
Are you not supposed to be inside here with her?
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
What type of woman are you?